Hey everybody, this is a very large object, and I'm here giving you the biggest console size comparison I can give you in comparison to the Steam Deck. Now, I'm going to start off with the smallest, and I'm going to go all the way up to the largest, and I will do comparisons side by side with the Steam Deck after I show you them in succession. So I'm going to start with the smallest item on our list here. This is the Pow Kitty V90. This is about the size of a Game Boy Advance SP. It plays up to GBA, I would say, comfortably. Some SNES. PlayStation 1 can be done, but I wouldn't on this tiny little thing. So that's the V90. The next device on our list here is going to be the RG351P. This can play up to Dreamcast pretty much perfectly. But anything past that, unfortunately, is out of its realm. Next, we have the Retroid Pocket, which can play up to light GameCube games. Like very few GameCube games actually run on this. However, it can do it. And of course, Dreamcast, it can play perfectly fine. So anything past there is good. Retroid Pocket. Next device on our list here, which is technically smaller than the previous two, but this one does a little bit more here because it has the screen here, so I'm going to count that as a little bit larger. The 3DS, this is the launch unit. Doesn't have a stylus, lost that long time ago. It obviously plays 3DS games. It can play N64 and Game Boy Advance pretty well. Anything other than that, I'd say look for something else. So we're gonna open that one up over there. Next is going to be the 3DS, the 2DS XL, of course. The new 2DS, which has a little nubby here. I did have a glass protector here, but that, because it's a resistive touchscreen, that doesn't really help. It actually kind of makes it hard. But this device can do what the 3DS can, except it has larger screens and it has a little better processor, so some emulation will be able to be played much nicer. So there's that one. And then here is the PSP. I would actually consider this between those. This device is Sony's first attempt at a portable device. This one particularly is the 3000 model. It is rather thin. It does still have its UMD port here. It was rather neat for the time. You could watch shows and movies and stuff like that. That was rather interesting while the DS was around. The PS Vita, everyone's favorite device. Everyone in the world owns one of these. And sale figures are so good that Sony made another handheld system. Of course, I'm lying. This device had so much potential, but it was completely ruined by Sony not doing anything for it. They released like 2 games for it, and then expected all third parties to do the rest. And that's not how that works. Uncharted and, what was it? I'm not even remembering. Killzone, there we go. It doesn't have a UMD port, but it has its little Vita game card port there. So Also, one thing that majorly killed it was its memory cards. This 8 gigabyte, and I think this is an 8 gigabyte. Hold up. Yeah, this 8 gigabyte card was like $60. That nobody in the world's paying that, even back in 2013 when this one actually came out. The buttons are nice. They're a little too small for me though. In fact, I think like the 3DS even had bigger buttons than the Vita did. So did the PSP. Jeez, Sony, you're messing up. So we're getting down to the last line here. I'm counting this one later here in this list, even though it's physically smaller, because of how thick it is. This is about as thick as the actual DMG Game Boy. Of course, it has a much bigger screen, and a much higher resolution one at that, with backlight and everything like that. This can play up to PlayStation 1 perfectly fine, and it can emulate really really well retro systems. Definitely one of my favorite handhelds. I always have this one on me. Put it there. All right, so before we get into the consoles, the rest of the consoles here, the Switch and up, I'm going to show you some of the controllers that I have on hand, just for comparison here. Here is the SN30. This one is SN30 Pro. So this has analog sticks. These buttons are great. This is my favorite feeling face button combination, the little concave with convex AB buttons. And it feels better than the original. This D-pad is phenomenal. 8-bit just does a really great job. Next, in size is the 8-bit Pro 2. So they got rid of the SN30 naming scheme there. So the Pro Plus introduced these back things here and a removable battery. But this one actually allows me to switch between which type of device I actually want. Nice triggers too. A really comfortable controller to hold. All right, all right. Now, we're gonna get into controllers we're a little bit more familiar with. Trying to see here which one's actually larger. Here's the DualShock 4. I hate this thing. This is one of the worst controllers I own. This isn't because it's a Sony product. The PS3 controller sucked too. The main reason why this controller was so mediocre to me was just the overall creaky feel of it. And this split D-pad shenanigans. This was not comfortable in any shape or form. I felt like it cut into my fingers a little bit. I've heard the DualSense controller is much better than this, and I sure would hope so. Also, this was hardly ever used other than just a button. Just a waste of space. Sticks also were, they're passable. They're about as good as the 8-bit controller here. The Xbox 360 controller, it was good for its time. It had pretty good ergonomics. It was much more comfortable to hold than the PS3 controller. But that being said, it did have its fair share of problems. Stick drifting was an issue with this, especially later on. The D-pad is awful. This is terrible. I would rather have this any day of the week. In fact, I'd probably take the original 3DS D-pad over this. This was awful. This is a terrible design. It's iconic, and I get that, but that doesn't get you much points with me. It also takes AA batteries, which honestly, I don't think it should. I think it should have came with a rechargeable pack that could be removed and have AA's as a backup. So there's the controller there. Then we have the Xbox One controller. This is in very similar dimensions to the series controllers. This is as good as a controller can get, I will be honest with you. The bumpers can be pressed at any point along here. The original controller couldn't do that. You had to go back here. If you tried to click in here, it would be too stiff. The hinge wouldn't allow it to happen. The triggers are nice and comfy. The buttons are nice and clicky. And nothing really bad to say about this controller. D-pad's okay. It is definitely a step up over all of the other controllers shown here. Now, here's the controller that came out for the Xbox Series controllers here, like the Series X or Series S. This is the special 20th anniversary one, but the main thing in differentiation between this and that is that this has a D-pad that is much clickier and makes actual directional inputs much easier. It is, however, louder. So if you're trying to play at night, that's going to be a little annoying to whoever you're living with. Triggers are great, nice textures to them, all that good stuff. The Duke controller. This is massive, huge. This is the biggest controller I own. This D-pad is an abomination, and I see how they jump from this to the S controller. But this is just an abomination of a D-pad. It's comfy, it's at least comfortable, but it seems like it's made for aliens. Yeah, it's doesn't seem to be made for people. This stick, I don't like that this is convex. I think concave sticks is much preferable. But other than that, the triggers are nice. But the overall shape of this thing is a little bit ungodly. So those are the controllers. Now let's bring the Switch out. So the Switch is large, okay? This was considered a big handheld. People are like, oh, why is it so large or whatever, But it has its Joy-Cons here. You can put them in a Joy-Con grip instead. I personally would rather use any other controller, the SN30 or Pro or the 8BitDo Pro 2, than using these controls. These sticks are awful. They don't have any travel to them, but I guess to make it more pocketable, if this is going to fit in your pocket. I was able to put it in my pocket like this pretty easily. In fact, on one of my first videos on this channel, I did try to put this in my pocket and show it off there. So there's the power button, all that fun good stuff. And it has a micro SD card, which Sony should have followed through on the just doing that on their Vita. They probably would have a handheld in the race at this point. So there's the Switch. Oh boy. All right. And then Here comes a bigger one here, the Neo. This is relatively thin. This is not as thin as the Switch, but it's about as long. It's maybe a inch longer? No, half an inch longer, or a centimeter or two. So not too bad. This is a little thick though, I will be honest. And it feels like I'm playing with a chocolate bar here. So the triggers are nice. They feel good. They feel, well, because they're analog, they feel rather tensiony. They are a little harder to press than, say, the Xbox controllers or the PlayStation controllers here. But they do the job. Face buttons are nice. Sticks are, this is better than the Switch, I'll tell you that much. And that's only just because the Switch, my Switch is loose. The analog sticks are like incredibly loose on it. I'm sure that will break down over time. And then lastly, the device to golf them all, the Steam Deck. So to put this into perspective here, let's actually zoom ourselves out. That's my cup. It doesn't matter. So here's everything here laid out on the table. Here is the Neo versus the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is what I believe is thinner than the Neo. It actually feels a little lighter than the Neo as well, just because of its overall footprint. Like the Switch feels absolutely like nothing. It feels super, super light. However, because of the way you're holding the Steam Deck, its weight is distributed better. Your arms are further apart, so it's actually more of a parallel arm position as opposed to the some of the, even these controllers, how like you come at like a triangle, which makes the controller even feels about as heavy in the hand as a Xbox controller would, because of that width. The sticks are the best out of all the portable devices here by far. I would say they are better than the 360 sticks, better than the original Xbox One controller, and better than the Sony DualShock 4. I would say they're about on par as these. These are incredible. They're using the same stick as this, but this is getting older for me, so it's wearing out. So these would be the same, and these would be pretty close to these, I will be honest with you, if they were new. So that is the size of the Steam Deck, and I'm going to compare you guys to each of them individually here and give you a good idea of what we're looking at here. So let's put the controllers over to the side and have all the consoles out. Right? So there's the Steam Deck. It's covering these. It is absolutely massive. The Neo in comparison, yeah. And then the Neo on top of that. And then the Switch on top of that. So as you can see here, there's our size comparison. All right, so if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like. I do a lot of my videos just off of a bigger take. I do try to cut them down a little bit if there's a bunch of dead air. But if I'm talking, I'm just going to keep going. I'm not a super brief person, as you could probably tell. A lot of my videos are like an hour in length. And I'm okay with that. I will try to add some bookmarks to show like the controllers, the consoles, and the bigger consoles, just to try to break up the video so it's a little bit easier to just skip to what you want to see. But that's not available on mobile, so I have to, I'm going to have to break out the laptop for that. See you guys on my next video. That should be Watt for Watt, episode 3 with the Metro games. And that one actually does surprise me quite a bit. I want to thank you all for 200 subscribers. I wouldn't be as excited or enthusiastic about this if it weren't for all of you. And I really can't wait to be pushing out more content as we go along. And I have a couple games I wanted to show you on the Steam Deck that just came out. As well. But I want to wait until I see a good spot to do it. Because I have so many different ideas on what to do with this thing. That I have to just start plowing them through. So, see you guys on my next video, and like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. If you want, if you like to, if you want to see more, it's all, you know. Peace out.